We should be live. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Oh. Well, let me see here. Hello. Hello, Tara, Element, Paul. Tara, I will not be discussing any of my personal life at all. I thank you for your concern, but no details of my personal life will be displayed on this channel. The only reason I shared anything about what was going on was pure desperation and heartbreak. It's really hard to think straight when you have something horrible going on in your family. It's really, really hard to, hey, Onyx. It's really hard to think straight and know where to draw the line with what to share with people, because it can be overwhelming, and I don't want to go into any more detail because I need this as a distraction. And I don't want to go in. I want to say thank you to people that have donated. I have noticed a few familiar names. I really, really want to thank you for donating. And that's all I'm going to say about that, just because I don't want to start crying in a live stream. I don't think anyone's going to appreciate that. Let's see here. What was another thing? Okay, so I was going to talk about a comment I just got on Albert Fish, and you guys can tell me what your take is on this. So Albert Fish documentary of Serial Killer Saturday. This 2 hours ago, somebody commented, "This bitch said mentally retarded SMH," right? So I responded with, "This bitch quoted his actual diagnosis at the time, as this is how it was worded. These documents were from the early 1900s. I cannot change history. It is shameful how people were labeled, but it is important to speak history as it was. It was cruel, it was unforgiving, and it should never be repeated," which is exactly how I feel. I hate that someone was actually labeled that. I hate that there were all these categories to label people as lesser than so they could, justify mistreating them. But to not word it as it was, how do you guys feel? Should I say it as it is documented, or should I go around it and try to be politically correct? Because there's sometimes, like if I go back to, let's say a serial killer is of a different ethnic orientation, and then they say that word, I don't know how that would be across, but that's how it's worded at the time, which is how I would stress it. But yeah, it was a medical term. Exactly. So it wasn't like an ethnic thing. It wasn't like it was a medical term at the time. And there's a line, it's always hard, especially when it's something older like that, when they were not forgiving with the way they worded or treated people at all. Like, just awful. Awful, awful. Whew. That was one thing I wanted to talk about. But there was another thing I was actually, like, the morning was going on and I saw this episode of King of Queens. And I don't know if you've ever watched King of Queens, but Doug and Carrie are sitting on the couch, and Doug and Carrie, like, he says something about his childhood, and then she says something else, and it's like totally dark. It's hilarious. Like, it was crazy and dark. And he's just staring at her with his mouth open, and it just totally looked like a scene between me and my husband, because I was a little bit crazy. I had no monitors, We had nothing to monitor us. Hello, Evil Satyr. Hello, how you doing? Yeah. I think at some point when I do, not today, maybe not today. Tara, I did already say that I did. I don't want to say it again. I'm pretty clear as to what I'm saying here. We're not going to discuss that anymore. Thank you. Hello, cats. In the future, I will be giving someone mod controls to filter out things that should be filtered out that I might not catch while I'm reading, because it's hard to go back and forth, and like I know that there's somebody that will say something that's kind of section and I can't catch it. So in the future, if and when things go back to normal schedule here, I don't want to say if, I'll say when, speaking good into existence. When things go back to normal, I'm gonna elect someone to be a mod during live streams so that they can filter some stuff out that I might miss. So yeah. Yeah. You'll have to go back and listen to the beginning, cats. I was basically talking about my personal situation in very brief. I'm not going to go over that 15 times. I just can't do it. I cannot mentally do it. I was just saying thank you to anyone who donated. Yeah, a mod would be great because I'm constantly going back and forth and I feel like there's something that I miss or something. Like I don't want people to be offended. It's just supposed to be a good time, just a good hangout time. I picked some different stuff here and I'm going to wait. Like I'm going to chit chat with you. I'm sorry it was so cold. Huh? So cold. It is cold here. I don't know where you guys are at, but like, let's see. Last week we got tons of snow and then it froze. And then the kids had like 3 days off of school. Went to school on Friday. Everything melted over the weekend. And then we had freezing rain on Wednesday, a windstorm yesterday, and then a whiteout this morning. So yeah, it's very interesting to live here. I don't think any of my fellow Michiganders are here right now. If you are, sorry about that, but I don't think any of them are here right now. So, oh no, ooh, did you have the whole insanely hilarious 70 degrees? Oh, wow. I think the real feel here was -5 this morning. Oh my goodness. Lucky you. I have a bunch of family in Texas. We could be related and don't even know it. My grandpa had like 7 brothers and sisters, and they have a huge family. And my mom didn't take us down there to see. So I don't know. I don't want to, man, I feel like I'm going to branch off squirrel into 15 different directions today. I've pulled a few stories, but yeah, I don't think I've read this. This is 50 true stories from people who have lived in a haunted house. And as I'm glancing at, it doesn't look like we've read these. I'll read a couple and then you guys can tell me. I was just going to give people a few minutes to get here. So at like 10:15, we'll start reading, but yeah, I know it's a weird time of day to live stream, but taking a window of opportunity. How about that? And seeing if anybody went, hey, yes, squirrel. And where did you find that squirrel emoji? 75 yesterday morning, 40 yesterday evening, 70. Oh my gosh, I'm jealous. Where is that? Like, is that like in the south or is that in like the west coast? Which, by the way, I love Lana Del Rey's West Coast. Oh, I love that song. I could listen to that on repeat for like an hour and just space out to it. Thanks. It was the 4th wisdom tooth, so it be better than the last one. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that. We were just talking the other day about when my daughter got her wisdom teeth out. That was interesting. Wow. I will listen back. I have to do morning things. Sorry. Oh no, that's fine. Virginia. Now, does it snow a lot in Virginia? Or sometimes? Because I think sometimes you get hit a lot, don't you? You're kind of in that gray area where it might snow, it might not. But 70 degrees, that kind of seems like you're in Southern Virginia because that's awesome. The only drawback that I think about is when I think about living in a southern state like that is the giant bugs. Hello, Gling. A little confused as to why you're upset. I'm not going to push. If you listen to the whole thing, you would know why I was getting upset. Sometimes people will overstep a bit, and I have to draw the line, and that's why I'm gonna probably initiate a mod to help that line be a little thicker. That's all I'll say about that. You're not rude. What are you talking about? Interesting is a word to describe it. I was talking about my daughter was just like I swear sometimes they give you too much medication for that. Now, did they drug you heavily for that? Um I say hello, Gling? I did. As soon as you came on, I did. Are you guys not hearing me? What the heck is up with this thing? Is there a delay where you guys don't hear it? Are you just hearing back or you're just saying it back? I'm sorry if I'm scatterbrained because I literally am scatterbrained. I literally am. And if you guys heard me momentarily be defensive, that was for a reason, not directed at. Yeah, okay. All right, just making sure. Often, you never know if I hear. So, if you do hear me go all over the place or momentarily get upset, it's because I'm literally scatterbrained and dealing with a very serious situation. So, I'm really sorry. So please forgive me in advance. I'm dealing with things the best I can. Um, yes. Okay. There's something else I was going to say too, and I totally forgot. I know I started talking about it. Oh, wisdom teeth. I would love to hear everybody else's hilarious wisdom teeth stories, but yeah, my daughter's was really interesting. But sometimes I think they give people way too many drugs for those. Um, yeah, that was interesting. Like, here's an example. I went to the store to get her medication, which was literally 5 minutes away. Drove there, came back, and some dude was sitting on my couch playing guitar to my daughter. Like, it was some friend of a friend of a friend she must have messaged in her post wisdom tooth haze. And he was here for 2 seconds after I got here. And I was like, yeah, get out. Then I went next door to give my former neighbor, who is now passed on. Nothing sad here now anymore. But I went to go give her a present because she was teaching my stepdaughter's dance class, and there was like a rehearsal or something going on that night, and I wanted to give her a gift before the night came so that she would have it. And I literally walked next door to hand it to her. Stepped inside of her house. My daughter knocked on the door and was crying because I left her alone, and it was literally like 5 minutes. So, oh boy. 3 shots. Ooh, they only gave you shots. Holy crap. Whoa. Oh no. Yep, my daughters were impacted too. So were mine. Yep. So they literally have to like go in. They only gave you shots. I can't even like fathom. My daughter actually has, well, now she has three, but she had five wisdom teeth. And the way the insurance works is they only do two at a time. So you have to go back several times instead of doing it just once, which we all know is best to do all at once because the less you go under anesthesia, the better. But whatever. Yeah, there was like another one behind another one, so they took those out first. Hmm. That might be why she was a little more heavily drugged, but it was so fast. Like she went back there, and it seemed like we were leaving in less than an hour, which seems really fast for the amount of drugs they give you. Like, whew, crazy, crazy. Well, I think that everybody that's gonna be here is here. So let's get into the, ooh, wait a minute. My wisdom teeth were coming out of my gums. Were cut out of my gums, all four at once. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Aw, that's terrible. Yeah, that's pretty typical. But the long-term effects, let me get my tea. Okay, go get your tea. Um, yeah, the first couple days afterwards are just torture, aren't they? Goodness gracious. Whew. Whew. Yikes. Easy. Oh, there's nothing pleasant about tooth work. You know what I mean? There's nothing pleasant about that. My daughter, though, has never had a cavity. If that's like, she got like the best teeth ever, and she was always obsessed with her teeth being perfect. So she literally loved going to the dentist. Like, and even her healing from the wisdom teeth was like, wasn't even that bad. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I mean, that was a good thing, but like, I've never, even her best friend got them out, and it was kind of bad. So, anyway, aw, poor thingling. Ooh, yeah, yikes. Okay, so everybody that's here, let's dive into these stories and see if I've read these before because I don't think that I have. Let's see here. And also, if you hear me like walking around with the computer, my dog's gonna want to go out because she's a snow dog. She loves the snow. She does. She will literally run around the yard when it's snowing outside, which I love not having this um, capability to be able to walk around while I live stream. That's pretty nice. She likes to go outside and then turn around and come back in so she can get a treat. Raise your hand if you have a dog that does that, because I'm a sucker. Okay, let me see this first one. You guys tell me, because I don't think that I have read this before. But I'm wrong all the time. I can admit when I'm wrong. Okay. So I lived in a house from 1938. I would wake up and sit up in bed every single night at 2:59 to 3:01 a.m. I thought I saw something move quickly out of the corner of my eye on occasion, but assumed it was me being sleepy or bad vision without my glasses. One night, the curtain on my closet moved. I pulled the lamp chain and the room lit up. My husband thought I was crazy. I saw nothing, so I pulled the chain again to turn off the lamp. I tried to sleep again, but a few minutes later, I heard the lamp chain swinging against the lamp base. When I reached out to see if I felt it swinging and to stop it, something cold touched me. It didn't feel like the shape of a hand or a finger, but more like a wet washcloth. We moved soon after due to relocating, but I stopped waking up every morning at the new house and haven't had any weird feelings since. Weird, not weird. Does that sound familiar to anybody? I don't think I've read that before. If someone else has heard it, I don't think it's been from me. Gotta check the chat, sorry. Come here, T. Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, some of these are short, but there's 50 of them, so let's dive in. Maybe there's some that I've skipped. Okay, so number 2, I watched one of our cats being pulled backwards about 5 feet by her tail. She was walking through the dining area and suddenly was sliding backwards, as if someone was pulling her by her tail. Only no one was there. She freaked out and tried to run, but couldn't immediately as something held on for a brief second before letting her go. I tend to think that was the handiwork of a 4 or 5-year-old ghost who hangs out and just wants to play with the kitty. I mean, that's a large assumption. Poor kitty. I know. That's so bad. I don't like that when something happens to an animal. Let's see. Number 3. One night when I was about 12, I was drifting off to sleep when I clearly heard a baby laugh for 1 to 2 seconds. This one sounds familiar. Presumed it was just my imagination, and went to sleep. The next morning, my sister mentioned that she'd been woken up by the sound of a baby crying. I don't really believe in ghosts, but I've never been able to explain that. That one sounded familiar, but This next one is a little bit longer. Yeah, I know, right? Me too. I have all these windows open I need to close, especially if we share any pictures. Because, like, where are they coming from? Imagine that. It's totally quiet in your house, and all of a sudden you hear hee hee hee. Number 4. I lived in a house for about 5 years that was haunted, but not in a malicious way. In a shitty roommate kind of way. I'd come home to the windows on the second floor being open when it was raining, to food containers being open in the fridge that I hadn't touched. The worst was that this ghost hated clocks, hated them. I had an antique cuckoo clock that had worked for 50 years that would just stop. Brand new wall clocks that ate through batteries like it was candy. My watch ended up on the floor one morning, the crystal shattered, even though I knew I slept with it on. The one that pissed me off the most was that I got a brand new Kit Kat clock for Christmas, and the bitch threw it off the wall. I was cooking, and out of the corner of my eye saw the cat freaking fly. Turned around, and it was across the kitchen, broken, and it was brand new. Man, she was a bitch. Assuming it was also a she. And it didn't throw an actual cat, it was the cat from the clock. So just so we're clear on that. Yeah, can you imagine that? You're just fucking cooking and bam. Okay, this one's a little bit longer, so let's see. Again, these don't sound familiar to me, so I'm just thinking that I have not read them. Gotta save this so in case my computer does something funky, which I have gotten a laptop now. So I've had a lot better luck. Oh, knock on wood. Luck with this. So if things have been running much smoother, that's for sure. Okay. I'm also going to do a poll. Yeah. Leah Ladybug, hello. I'm also going to do a poll on what you guys would like to see from me because I have a few different ideas. One is most wanted. People that are on the run haven't been caught yet because I used to like to watch those, but I don't see those on TV anymore. And another idea is missing. That are just there's so many of them that I think I don't know. I would like to see that, and I'd like to feature 4 to 5 per. Get as much detail out as possible. And also, I wondered, have shorter videos more often or longer videos once in a while. I'm going to do a poll on YouTube and Twitter on that to see what you guys would like. So there's a lot of missing people that because they don't have a lot of family or money, no one ever hears about them and they just go on missing. They could be like living next door to someone and you wouldn't even know it because their case gets no coverage. So those are things, ideas I'm playing around with. So back to the stories. Okay, this is number 5 and it's a little bit more than one short paragraph, so that's good. So, okay. So I'm typically a skeptic and can usually apply logic to a situation and figure out a plausible explanation. When I bought my house, they had to disclose reports of paranormal activity concerning the house. I thought, yay, whatever, but entertain it in good humor, even addressing said ghost by name. There's nothing concrete I can tell you. Nothing hovering in the air, no furniture appearing on the ceiling, nothing that shows as any type of blip on anyone's typical paranormal radar. However, the number of times I've had to rationalize an event or come up with explanations for why or how something happened borders on obsessive. The typical footsteps upstairs, children laughing before I had children, knocking on walls or doors. It's an old house, creaks, groans, hot water pipes pinging, etc. It all happens. Light bulbs smashed on the floor, having removed themselves from the metal base. One plant in particular that would get overturned often, on one occasion ending up halfway across the room. The stereo turning on at random times of the day, almost always to classical music. So frequently, they would always keep one classical CD in a random slot in the CD player just to see if that was the one that got played. Various lost items showing up in highly noticeable places, like how you can lose your watch in the middle of the completely cleared kitchen table, yet after half an hour of searching, there it is. But the ones that get me the most are the ones where I'm completely stumped. On the same day every year is the smell of something burning. It can be detected at only two specific but unrelated parts of the house. You can even define the limits of where you can smell it by walking around. After about 2 hours, it goes away until the next year. The other one is the presence of hot spots in the house. Not by temperature, but when you stand in a certain place, you feel something. This has been witnessed by people aware as well as unaware of the phenomenon itself, and some of the spots have a direction associated with them. When you stand in one, you feel compelled to face a certain way. I watched a police officer get completely freaked as he turned in mid-sentence to stare at the wall, looking it up and down, then took 2 solid steps backwards while looking at the floor, and when he turned around, he was visibly shaken. But hey, no spinning chandeliers or dead girls climbing out of a television set, so I'm good. I mean, I don't know. What about you? Would you become desensitized to that if it was always happening? I think I would. Just because I experience a lot of different stuff. Not to that level, though. Like the thing where you know you put something down and then you look all over the house for it and you come back and it's there. It happens to me a lot. It always has. Now, either I have dementia or, yeah, maybe I have dementia. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to number 6. Making sure we're still live streaming. You can look at the little window and see when I talk, there's like a ring around the lips so I can see what's going on. Right. Little tiny things all the time. But if it was something like threatening and massive, I think it would be, hey, Immunity, how's it going? Long time no see. I think that's why we're all kind of drawn to this genre, is because weird stuff has happened to us and we're not scared of it. We're curious of it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot. It's fine. But I feel like that's why people like me and everybody that's here kind of gravitate toward this. Number 6. This is a short one. My son, about 4 years old at the time, would jabber away in his room by himself. One day, my wife asked him who he was talking to. He said he was talking with Alice, and that she used to feed the men who lived there. He went on to say that she died because she couldn't breathe. Our house used to be a boarding house before World War II. Okay, that doesn't even... Boo. We're just going to dive into number 7, skip right over that horrible one. Okay, number 7. My sister and then 4-year-old niece moved into a townhouse apartment complex and still remembers this vividly. Ran into my sister's room not long after screaming about the man in her room yelling at her. My sister jumps out of bed and searches around for anyone or anything out of place. Finds nothing. Doors and windows still locked. Happens a couple more times over the next few nights. Niece doesn't want to sleep there. Won't go into her room. So my sister's chatting with one of the other moms at the complex playground one day, and the other lady mentions how creepy it is, considering the guy that overdosed in that apartment a few years back. Apparently, his son's room was now my niece's room. So my mom does some digging and found the guy's name, which led to his obituary. Pulled up the picture from the obituary and called my niece into the computer room. She got a half a step into the room when she saw the photo on the monitor and ran out screaming about the man. Have absolutely no explanation as to how she recognized this guy's picture. Well, you do, but you just don't want to believe it. Wow. Cool. This next one's got some details too. Yeah. Okay, let me see here. Number 8. So my husband and I rented a really old house. We had to fix it up a bit before my son came home from the hospital. He was very premature in NICU for almost 5 months. Okay, this is a little too familiar, but we're going to move on. We took down the wallpaper and painted, took down the popcorn ceiling, the whole 9 yards. The basement was very unfinished and vandalized by the teenagers that lived there before. Sometimes my mouth likes to graze over words. Anyway, there were swastikas everywhere. We didn't bother finishing it because we didn't really need the room. I went down there once out of the year we lived there. Creepy feeling. Like someone was watching you, pissed. Sometimes that creepy feeling would come upstairs. I would give it a week or so thinking it was in my head, and then it would sit in the car with the baby while my husband burned sage to clear it out. He says the feeling while he did was so heavy, very angry. He would see figures coming at him through the smoke. There were countless experiences there. The 2 that stick out of my head are as follows. Number 1. I was showering and the baby was in the little bouncer seat in the doorway. I opened the curtain. Just as I do, the can of air freshener that was sitting on the back of my toilet goes flying toward the baby. If the door wasn't just slightly shut, it would have nailed him. I went full batshit crazy, started yelling, telling them if you're just a baby, blah, blah, blah. And as I'm doing so, the detachable shower head went flying off at me, hit the end of his rope and swings down. Shut me right up. The second thing that happened, my husband and I were in bed, my son in his room right down the very small hallway, fast asleep. We had a baby monitor because he was on oxygen and therefore on a pulse ox monitor, so I wanted to be able to hear his alarm go off. So my husband and I were laying in bed together. We usually will talk for a while, say our good nights, and fall asleep. We say our good nights this particular night, and not even 5 minutes later, we both hear, clear as day, a little girl laughing in the baby monitor. My husband jumped up out of bed, ready to kick some ass. But I already knew no one was there. I was stunned. Literally, couldn't move until finally I fell asleep. And I do not miss that place. Whoa. Yikes. Hello, horror fan. Wow, that's crazy. Whew. I don't know why I haven't read these. I thought I saved these a long time ago, but we just never read them. Number 9. 9 out of 50. I don't know if we'll read all 50. We'll give it a good go. How about that? We'll go until I start to lose my voice. Isn't that our general rule? It's early in the day, so I probably won't lose my voice for a while. That's how we will look at that. All right. Just a moment. Okay. So, number 9. Hearing lots of things. Screams in the basement. A child and older man laughing when I'm in the shower. Furniture being dragged around on my porch. Music playing randomly with glasses clinking and groups of people chatting. I've had lights turn on when I leave the house briefly. This happened for years. I've had important documents go missing over the weekend, and then I walk back into the room to search for them on the 3rd time, and they're all neatly arranged in a stack in the center of the table. All my cabinets would be open when I got home. I would feel what felt like people sitting on my bed at night, and then getting up shortly after. My shaking. There's more weird and potential alien story that I won't get into, but yeah, I hated that house. Wow, I feel like that story could have been a lot more elaborate. Ooh. Orange Justice. Huh. That sounds damn unnerving. Yeah, the last 2. Jeez. All right, number 10. Let's see what this one. Think they're going to get creepier as we go? Let's find out. Just glad they don't suck. When I was around 9 or 10 years old, this is number 10, by the way, I remember waking up to see a large shadow stood at the foot of my bed. I was living with my dad at the time. It was very large. There were 5 floors in this terrace-built house in the 1800s, and every so often there would be an unexplainable event happen, such as footsteps when there's no one there or voices. On the night this happened, it was just my dad and I in the house. My sister was staying with my mom at the time. I woke up and noticed the door to my room was wide open. I normally slept with it closed. I then became aware of a large, around 7 foot tall, shadow-like figure watching me from the end of the bed. When the figure noticed me, it seemed to melt into the floor, and the door to my room slammed shut. Understandably, I was slightly traumatized by the whole experience. Asked my dad the next day if he was in my room, and he denied any knowledge of the event. He's not the type of person that likes to joke. Okay, that one could have been a lot more elaborate. It was scary. I'll give it a eh. I'll give it a meh. 2.5 out of 5, maybe. Could have been a lot scarier. Number 11. Green eyes. Lived in Turnquist in Maryland. Plane went down in the area, killing 300. Lightning struck the fuel or something. Well, the house was out of code and electrical was all fritzy. I would go down to fix the power, and these eyes would show up. Green floating eyes. Green like Mountain Dew, and all of the eye is green, not just the iris. My dog would go down there with me to fix the power, and when the power came back up, the eyes would be gone. The eyes never appeared in the same place. Okay, so that would explain, like, if you thought it was like lights or like a reflection on something, it was always in a different place, and it couldn't be logical. The next one's a little bit longer, thank goodness. I hate when they're super short, and they could have been elaborated, but horror fan dad. Oh, hello. So we have horror fan and horror fan dad, or just horror fan dad? I gotta go back and see. Yeah, isn't that crazy? A green-eyed spider? That's really crazy. My dog's staring at me like she wants to go back outside again for no reason. So you're going to walk with me. Walk with me, talk with me. Talk with me. Ouch. I almost lost my headphones. This is going to be inconvenient, but thankfully you can just walk with me to the door while I let her out for the countless time today. All right. She was in a corner, but we could see it from the room. Wow. Did you get any pictures? That's so cool. Green eyes, white dragon. Okay. Number 12 is a little bit longer, thank goodness. So doesn't mean it's going to be good. I lived in a big 1840s colonial house with 3 of my friends for a while. It was set back in 80 acres of state wildlife property, and it was a gorgeous house. Okay, number 1, I would never move out of there. But I haven't read the rest of the story yet. Anyway, moving on. The bedrooms were all upstairs, and all lined up and down the hall. Our third night in the house, right about 30 minutes after we all sort of called it a night, my doorknob rattled, like someone was fiddling with it. Then I heard the door next to mine rattle, and the next, all the way down the hall at one time. The next morning, one of my housemates asked why I was messing with the doors, since she had asked the 2 guys in the house, and neither of them knew what she was talking about. One night, I woke up with an intense urge to get out of bed, like my brain screaming at me to get up. I laid still for a while, thinking maybe I had been woken up by a noise, but it was around 3 a.m. and dead quiet. I went into the hallway, and as soon as I walked into the hall, all of my roommates opened their doors and came out too. We were all woken up, but no one heard a thing, and they all had the same urgent get-up feeling I did. We shrugged it off and all went back to bed. Weird things would happen there. Strange objects would show up in the basement or crawl space, like old suitcases or a kid's rocking chair. Once a vase, just random stuff. You would occasionally hear footsteps running down the bedroom hall and down the stairs if you were in the living room below. I could go on. The house was really strange. Never felt threatened, just weird. Okay. I thought that was going to be more like juicy. Beside the dying fire. Hey. Vinny, big bag. My feet are wet and pants are frozen. Oh, you live in Michigan too? Oh no. Hello. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't bad though, the story. They just thank you beside the dying fire. And I think you know why I'm saying thank you. I won't go into details here, but I was talking about it earlier in the stream, but you weren't here yet, so. Hello, Autumn. Hello. Anybody else here? Who said that their feet are wet? Vinny Big Bag. Yeah, South Chicago. Yeah. So, same diff, just a little bit. Just probably a little bit more. I don't know. I feel like Chicago gets a lot of like the lake effect stuff because I'm in like the middle kind of southern, so I think I'm yeah, a little safe of it. So it's crappy here. Everything's covered in ice and snow, but I can see grass. It's very confusing to live here. Like if you don't, if you're not familiar with living here, if you ever visit here, bring clothes for each season, just like a little bit for each season because you should. Just saying. All right. Number 12 was meh. I mean, there was a lot to it, but it was like meh. All right. This is number 13. From ages 5 to 17, I lived in a house with activity. It was all pretty basic, run-of-the-mill stuff. Footsteps, voices, lights turning on and off, doors opening and shutting, batteries draining, etc. Okay, first of all, that's enough for most of these people in these stories to be freaked out. But apparently they're going to go on. Oh, my dog's barking at someone. If we started renovating, which we almost always were, there'd be more activity and they'd start throwing stuff. But I got used to it. They didn't hurt us, so we just let it go. Even my father started believing after a while. But the worst thing they ever did was while we were moving in. I was 5. My friend and I were playing in the only room that was finished in the basement while my parents were moving the stuff in. My friend's parents were helping. Suddenly, the door to the room slammed shut. No wind, no draft, no explanation. When the lock engaged with a click and someone started laughing, we were stuck in the room for hours. That's where it ends, but can you imagine that? I mean, if you were an adult and that happened, wouldn't that scare the shit out of you too? I don't think you need to be 5 for that to be scary. Oh, spring 1 week, 55 the next. Yep. That's how it is here. So everyone in like, I want to say the tri-state area probably has a constant runny nose. I have a headache, I think that's been going on for 2 weeks because of it. Yeah. All right. Number 14. Living in Chicago, there you go, last year in a top floor apartment of a 3-flat style building. The kitchen at the back of the apartment had a door leading to a staircase down to the basement, connecting all the apartments and to the outside. Hold on, let me let my dog inside. Ooh, I almost dropped my computer. That would have been not fun. Here you go, sister. Okay. So the staircase connects all the apartments and to the outside. My housemate was cooking. She left the back door open as we had no AC or windows big enough for ventilation. Okay, that would suck in the summer. And as I walked into the kitchen, she ran to the back door and slammed it shut as I heard a woman's voice saying hello, over and over, coming from the stairs. We stood behind our door listening, and we could hear someone was coming up the stairs really slowly, the steps creaking all the way up to the back door. Then they reached the top, turned around, and went back down again. After 5 minutes of being really freaked out, another housemate and I slowly went down to the basement with some makeshift weapons and checked it out. Looked around and inside everything possible. calmly saying hello back. Nothing there. A lady did live in the basement apartment, but would never have any reason to come upstairs to the top. And there was nowhere to be seen, and she was nowhere to be seen either. The landlord then let us know his mother haunts the entire building. Oh, that's nice. Oh, by the way, after you sign the lease, my mom haunts the place. Just an FYI. But honestly, if it leases outside, you could have anybody wandering off the street and come in and do that. So, raised in Alaska, man, I bet you have a ton of stories. Woo, some scary ones too, especially just about the snow. Now, if you've never been in a car stuck in the snow in the middle of the winter, man, you don't know how fucking terrifying that can be. You know, sometimes there's, when they declare a state of emergency, what they did last week here, you're literally not supposed to go out to anywhere unless it's an emergency. That includes work. They even canceled like the mail. So it's serious if they cancel the mail. But Alaska, I would imagine that you would have to I don't know. I'd love to hear more about Alaska. Anyway. Send me a snowcat. Happy birthday in advance, Kling. I bet you do. Alaska is crazy. I've wanted to go there for years. That's crazy. Okay, number 15. I lived in an older home for about 5 years or so. My stepdad, who knew the man who had lived there before us, told me he hung himself in the attic. I honestly didn't think much of it. That is until I heard the footsteps. Like clockwork. Every night at 3 a.m. I would hear footsteps walking along the length of the attic, which would go over my room. The steps were heavy, and you could clearly tell the pace was at a normal walking speed. It sounded like a man contemplating something, thinking about his next move. If it was really the former owner, were those his final moments being played out every night before his fateful decision? Who can say? There were other stories, but those footsteps, which went on for years, still freak me out. Oh my God, yeah, of course. Of course. Wow. I think they could have had, told more of the story, but yeah. Postal Service horror stories. Oh my gosh. Oh, I smell a collab immunity. Oh, do you have any new videos out? I'm really behind on watching horror. Just because I'm behind on everything. But it's been a bit of a rough go of it since November, so I'm behind on everything. Oops, I think hopefully I didn't just screw something up. I grazed my hand over the touchpad, and I hope I didn't turn anything off. Okay. I think it's still going. Let's see. Yes, it is. Okay. So I wouldn't find out until you guys knew for 5 minutes or however long the delay is if something happened to the stream. Number 16. This one looks longer. Hopefully it doesn't suck. Many different things have happened, but this one sticks out the most. It was my mom who had it happen, not myself directly. Backstory. The house we live in was photographed in the 1860s in a book in the local library. It was shown to be one of the first houses to have a radio and some sort of headphone device on top of someone's head. The story. I go on my merry way to school one day. My mom is home, alone, cleaning up after breakfast, not too soon after I leave. So she's doing her thing when she begins to hear music upstairs. She thinks to herself that must have left the radio on. She's pissed because we're poor and try to save every penny we can on our electric bill. She gets to the top of the stairs, which has an open railing. She looks to the right, and there's a pair of legs standing there, tapping feet to music. She didn't even stay to look up for a body. She got the fuck out of there as soon as the music stopped and the legs began to turn to her. My mom made me sleep with her for like a week, and I was 15 at the time. I've had numerous experiences in that house, though. It made a skeptical, big, burly construction worker with sun-kissed skin turn pale as a ghost. Shit is no joke. Okay, they could have been in a lot more details. I hate when they say there's many more stories, but I won't go into detail. Ugh. Oh, is that scary stories? Okay, I had to get a new PC, but we'll have new videos on. Sweet. Yay. I was just telling them that I'd like to do, I'm contemplating a couple new series, but I want to up my game. Like I want it to be, like I just wondered if people would rather get shorter videos more often or longer videos less often. So I don't know how that's going to play out. I'm going to try this series out. I want to do a few different things and see how that goes. All right. Number 17. Hopefully this doesn't suck. It looks like a short paragraph. So my ex-wife is staying at her grandparents' house, which used to be a church. All the cousins have stories from this place, but my wife's was an odd one. They're all listening to the radio one night when the window drapes start moving a lot and nothing but static coming from the radio. The girls freak out and start screaming. As soon as they start screaming, it stopped and a voice came out of the radio saying, "Sorry to have bothered you. I'll leave you alone now." Drapes went back into place. Music comes back on. That's the end of the story. But I think that's effectively creepier than a lot of the other ones that we've heard. Shit. Dang. Yeah. Number 18. Used to have regular repeating nightmares where you know someone's in the house. You walk down the hall, find your family murdered in the kitchen, the old kitchen before remodeling, and run for the door with only a faint chance of escape before getting caught. Years after we moved out, I learned that my brother had been having the same exact nightmare, and neither of us had talked about it before. Whoa. Is that like, there's probably a technical name for that, telepathic dreams? That's crazy. I'm sure there's a technical term for it. That's another series I like to do. Anyway, number 19. Rebuilt 100-year-old mansion. One night, both my wife and I had clearly heard a voice say, "Listen." Empty house except us. Very spooky. Later found out my uncle knew the family that had lived there decades ago, and the father committed suicide by jumping off the third-story balcony. And that is not questionable. We both heard it and quizzed each other as to what exactly was heard. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this before. I've said it before in a live stream, but before we moved into this house, my husband and I were in our apartment. None of the kids were there, and I don't, believe in really doing this because I think that EVPs can stir some stuff up that wasn't there before. But I think we had watched Ghost Adventures or what we're gonna watch. It was when it was like still like really an active show, and this is before we were married too. But we were recording on our phones to see if we could get any EVPs, and we listened back and heard nothing. And my husband's on listen back on mine, there was nothing. But listening back on my husband's phone, you could hear what sounds like someone from really far away yelling, "Nerd!" Like they were yelling "nerd." From really far away. That's what it sounded like. Like maybe it was a different word, but you could hear it only on his phone, but not on mine. It was the craziest thing ever. And yeah. I think that people that don't have a ghost story, see, I want to see an actual apparition in the daytime because I know that you can. I want to see something happen in the daytime. Because in the dark, I think I question my eyes. I question what I see or feel, but I like to see something obvious and not just feel it. That's just me. Hello, Wendy Williams, even using the thing. Yeah, mutual dream theory. Hey, that's cool. Smoky Mountain. Hey, Smoky Mountain. Hello. Hello. Oh, I love the story you told us about Albert Fish. That's what got me describing your channel. Okay. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier in the thing. Somebody was really mad at me because I used the word that he was diagnosed, a medical diagnosis at the time was mentally retarded. Obviously, that's not a diagnosis you would use currently, but I was reading his actual documentations from when he was diagnosed in the 1910s or 1920s, because that's how they horribly labeled and treated people. And even if it were a case of something else that was just as awful, to disregard that people were treated that way, labeled that way, talked about that way, is ignorant. You have to bring up the past occasionally. You don't have to live in it so that we don't repeat it. We have to know what was horrible about mankind so mankind can get better. But I'm not going to go on and on about that. I could do a whole live stream about that. That's ridiculous, right? Hey, that's cool. Mutual dream theory. Cool. Okay. Anyway, so this number 20, and it doesn't look that long either. So this says too many to tell. Of course not. That could be a whole book. But I'll tell the one that fucked with me the most. I work night shift, so I sleep during the day. Boyfriend and mother-in-law went out for the day, which she's not your mother-in-law yet. Anyway, and I know for a fact no one was home. I woke up, laid there for a second, groaned and stretched, and a man's voice groaned back right beside my head. I got the fuck out of there pretty fast, checked the house, home alone. Fun fact, the previous owner was an elderly man who died in the front room. He likes to shut and lock our doors when we're not paying attention. Holy crap. That's crazy. Hey, Jerry Roletter. Thank you. I saw your thing. That's all I'm going to say about that because I don't want to elaborate on anything and make myself upset during the live stream. But I think you know what I'm talking about, Jerry, and I just want to say thank you. Gling says, wonder whoever that person was who got offended over the word. I hope they never listen to the stories of Deadbug says. He uses that word all the time. Well, I would never use that word to literally describe anyone or insult someone because I think that's a horrible thing to do. But to read a medical diagnosis as it was given is important. It's important to know how horrible even doctors were to people back then. God, even doctors were horrible to people back then, you know? That's just, awful. I have a ghost where I work, and I shit you not, it's my old boss. Oh, wonderful. Still watching over you. Still stalking you. Oh, was he a good boss? Was he a good boss? Let's just find that out. Number 21. Let's see what this one's got to offer us. My mom worked 3 to 11 and usually got groceries and whatnot on a Friday or Saturday night when she knew I'd be home to help bring them in. I was playing video games and she called the house phone to let me know she was almost there. Normal. I went and waited for her to pull in the driveway and noticed a woman that was nobody I knew standing behind me in the reflection from the light in the kitchen. She stared at me for probably 5 seconds before walking into the adjacent hallway leading to my bedroom. I asked my mom about it, and she said it was probably my grandmother and not to worry about it. Okay. And that's it for that one, but can you imagine that just for a flash second, you're standing there waiting for someone to come, and that glass reflection, like it's dark outside, but it's light inside, and you turn the light on, and you can see someone standing behind you. Like, even if it wasn't a ghost, I think that would scare the shit out of somebody. Oh my God. He does it all the time. Wow. Nobody reads as well as you do. Chills. That's pretty nice. That's probably not true though. Oh, LOL, ghost pad. She had a recent heart attack 4 years ago. She was 6 months younger than me. Oh my gosh, that's terrifying. Yeah, that's scary. Very familiar with yeah. Whew, yikes. Okay, number 22. As a ghost, wow. As a kid, I would make stupid videos with my friends, and sometimes I would like to rewatch them and cringe at our shenanigans. I have a story about that that's funny, and I'll say it after this. But anyway, quite recently I rewatched a video a friend and I made in 2008, 2009. And the video consists of our usual fucking around. Halfway through the video, there's a short 2-second clip wherein my friend is flailing a toy sword around and screaming in my room. My friend is sitting with his back to the open door, and a dark figure is seen walking down the hallway past the open door. The figure is only visible a split second, but there is no doubt something passed by. The thing I remember vividly is being home alone that day. My father always told me a guy burned to death in that hallway, and my mother swore she sometimes heard coughing at night. I remember the hallway always smelling faintly of smoke, even though no one in my family smoked. Kind of spooky. I mean, I just wish someone would go into great detail. But what are you going to get? They're, free stories. Duchess cracks me up. I'm so not saying much. I'm working. Well, that's okay. I'm squirreling out. I'm going to squirrel out for a second. So speaking of people who would record themselves and their friends doing something stupid, my brother and his friends, and I don't know what happened to the videotape. I just remember watching it and dying laughing. But think of the time when like Ice Ice Baby was out, so go back way in time. And my brother and his friends were taking turns lip syncing to this. Like there was 3 of them in the room, like in one of their bedrooms. I think it was my brother's best friend's room. And each of them would take center stage against like the blank wall. And they would each take turns mouthing the song. And in the left and right bottom corners, you could see one of their fists like pumping to the music, like it was making it cooler. And it was the funniest thing ever. I think my whole family like peed their pants laughing at it because it was so funny. Hey, are there? I know, right? Like maybe a whole live stream. But just kidding. As a ghost, humans terrified me to the core. That would be awesome. Wouldn't that be so cool? God, if only ghosts could communicate. But then it would give all the secrets of life away, wouldn't it? I would. If I could like slip through back to the other side after I'd tell everybody everything about what it's like. Like, this doesn't even matter. Eat chocolate. It doesn't matter. Oh my gosh. I don't know what happened to that tape, but I wish someone had that because it was so funny because they thought they were cool. Oh my god. Anyways. Number 23. Let's see what happens here. We're all finding this out together. Don't think that I know that these stories suck and then read them to you on purpose. We're discovering this crap together. I just did a swimming motion with my hands like you can see me. Anyway, number 23. Several people, myself included, have seen or felt a presence which we have affectionately called the man in white. In order, here are the stories. Thank you. The first one. My brother was cooking with his girlfriend in the kitchen. And from his periphery vision, he saw a white figure pass in front of the kitchen door as walking through the hallway. I was in my room. He asked me if I had passed through there. I hadn't. My arm just squeaked on the side of the couch there. The second one, and I have hiccups, so I'm so sorry if that affects my reading. A maid was cleaning the bathroom. Okay, how rich are you? A maid was cleaning the bathroom, and she felt in a really intense manner that something was looking at her from the bathroom's door. She told my mom about it. It really affected, and she was really affected by it. Okay. A different maid was walking through the hallway that connects to the bedroom. And on her way to clean the bathroom, how many maids do you have? And on the way to clean the bathroom, that's on the way to my room. When she got to the bathroom, the door was open and saw a figure standing in front of the toilet. She assumed it was me peeing with the door open and quickly turned away. Continued to the bedrooms to tidy them up. I was in my room. So when she got to it and saw me turned around to the bathroom to check to see if someone was there, she screamed and sat at the bed pale with goosebumps when she noticed there was no one there. Okay, they said it wasn't there. Anyone? Okay. Anyway, while I was in that same bathroom brushing my teeth, I saw a shadow pass through the hallway. Granted, I don't give my story much importance because it might have been nothing and just my brain forming patterns. My mother's sneakers fell to the floor from the top of the washing machine. It wasn't turned on. My mother even brought an uncle of hers who's a priest to cleanse the house. That was before the second maid and I saw him. I know these stories are pretty mild, but the man in white is pretty chill. He's become a recurrent joke at our house. The dogs are looking fixedly at the hall. The man in white. I lose my socks. The man in white. Someone feels a presence somehow. Chill. Man in white. Okay. I was completely distracted by the fact that this person had several maids. Squirrely squirrel just because. Squirrely squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. If you're new here and you don't know, I get distracted by shiny things and squirrels. How many maids do you have? Bitch, I am the maid. Oh, and it's another whiteout. Fabulous. I don't care. Today is an amazing day. Let's go with that. Oh, and it's really windy. If my stream goes out all of a sudden, it's because the power went out, because not only is it snowing really hard, the wind's picking up a lot. So, yeah. Maids too many. Too many maids. I can't even keep up with my maids. Swimming through crap is a disturbing image. Yes, it is. Shawshank Redemption. Shawshank. Usually we just say stuff like that when we're talking about something and we go, Roadhouse. We watch too much Family Guy. That's a truth about my husband and I. I don't care. We like silly, ridiculous stuff. Helps you get through the crap. And it made a circle there. Back to the stories. Number 24. My house was abandoned for 2 years before we bought it. Well, that sounds awesome, actually. I don't know why that got me really excited when they said that. When we went for the viewing, there was a bedroom closet that was padlocked shut. Think barn door latch with a lock through it. Realtor said they had no key, and we couldn't open it unless we bought it. Oh, fuck, that's a lie. Well, we ended up buying it, and priority number one was opening that door. After a few minutes with a pry door, we get in to reveal a child's play area. Bright colored walls, glow-in-the-dark stick-on stars, and planets cover the ceiling. Checkered tile for the floor, no lights, no air vents, no windows. My little brother chimes in. Well, this must be where they kept the kids before they died. Gross. Okay. Fast forward through 3 months of renovations to when we move in and we live there. The loft area has a daylight sensing motion sensor light, as there was no easy way to install a switch. The light comes on by itself all hours of the day. No matter what way we position the sensor, it randomly trips, and we jokingly shout out, "Will you darn kids quit running through the house?" That's usually the last time it comes on that day. So a year into living there, we've turned the creepy closet bedroom into our computer room. We leave for work in that same time each day, but arrive home about 2 hours apart. I get a call from a very confused wife one day asking why I had come back home after we left together. I hadn't. Upon returning from work, she was greeted by a computer chair in our kitchen. The chair had to travel through two doorways, down a hallway, and a flight of stairs to reach the kitchen, seemingly by itself. We thought it was odd, but blamed the dead kids, those heathenistic kids. So about 6 months after that, we have our last big doozy of an event for a while. We go to bed at night to a house in perfect order. Upon waking, we find that all of our kitchen knives have been removed from the butcher block. In their place, all of our butter knives. The sharp, dangerous knives have been placed behind the kitchen sink instead. Neither one had moved them. We were both pretty freaked out and spent the whole day away from the house trying to sort it out. We decided we were being unreasonable and went home to forget the ordeal. Ghosts aren't real, they weren't actually any kids who died there. Talking to the neighbor one day, and he confirms that no kids died in the house. A grown man had. The room with the creepy closet was the room where the previous owner's brother committed suicide. When his wife left and they failed to work it out, he couldn't handle life anymore. Cut his wrists and bled out. The previous owner kept living there afterwards, but upon finding out he was foreclosed on, attempted suicide in the same room. His children found him, and he lived. Later that year, our family grows. The rooms all get shuffled to make room for the baby. That creepy closet room, it gets emptied. The weird things all stop happening. To this day, 9 years later, that room is only used for storage. My 4-year-old son plays in there occasionally, but even in the daytime with all the lights, the window lets into the bedroom, he turns every light on. When asked why, he just says, "It makes it less weird to play there." Okay, when a 4-year-old says, "makes it less weird to play there," that's got to have alarm bells going off. Oh, it's raining in Connecticut? Yeah, there's literally like, mm, it's now calmed down to a thick snowfall. Wonderful. Very thick snowfall. I don't know. I used to love it when it snowed, but now it's just so annoying because um just because there's people here that like if they think if they have a four-wheel drive they can drive like however they want to and put everyone else in danger. And the area I live in, because it's the same county as Flint, which has no money, as you if you know anything about the Flint water crisis, this still is not solved, which I'd like to do a story on. We don't have a lot of police presence, not like we should or not like we need. And people have learned to take advantage of that when they're driving everywhere, which includes driving however they want with zero consideration for anyone else. And it's become a huge problem. So, yikes. Snowed in without internet. Yeah. I was laughing at you what you said about the maid. Yeah. Psh, Ghostbusters. I love that movie. I swear to God, I could watch that movie endlessly. Like, just have it on in the background. Listen, do you smell something? I love that quote. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Number 25. The house I grew up in had a slightly strange design in that all the bedrooms were clumped together at one end of the house and the kitchen and living room were at the other end. That seems pretty typical to me, but anyway. The two areas were connected by a long, narrow hallway that had a bathroom in the middle and approximately 900 closets on either side. My bedroom door was at the end of the hall, with two other bedroom doors facing each other across the hall on either side. Basically, this meant that if you were sitting in our living room, you could look straight down the hallway to my bedroom door. Lots of strange and frightening things happened in that house. But the one thing we could never rationalize or lie to ourselves about was the darkness at the end of the hall. Like I said above, the hallway was very long and narrow, and it was also paneled in dark wood, so it was very dark down there. But with the living room lights on, there was always enough light to see down the hallway and make out my bedroom door. But sometimes we'd be sitting in that living room and get the feeling that we were being watched or that something was about to happen. When that would come over us, the end of the hallway would be completely blacked out. It was like someone dropped a curtain over the end of the hall. You could see part of the way down and then just blackness. When this would happen, our three little dogs, God bless them, would go to the mouth of the hallway and sit in a line across it, staring down into the darkness. Sometimes they'd bark a little or growl, but mainly they just sat and stared. Once in a while, one of them would get brave enough to walk down the hall, but they never got more than halfway to the darkness before they'd stop and back up. They would walk backwards up the hall, never turning their back on whatever they were looking at. After a little while, the oppressive feeling would lift. The darkness would disappear. The dogs would wander off. This didn't happen often, but compared to all the normal spookiness in that house, things disappearing, stuff flying off the shelves, strange voices or breezes, etc. That was the one thing we could never convince ourselves that was just in our heads. Holy shit. Have people come over with popcorn, sit on your couch, and just stare down the hallway? Yeah, I heard that too. Ghostbusters 3 with all the original cast, which is impossible because one of them has been deceased since. Yeah. Um, let's see. One of the things that scared me about Alaska is when I watched the movie 30 Days of Night of the area in Alaska that's like literally has an entire month of darkness. Might watch that movie today now that I'm thinking about that, but I can't wait for the movie 3 from Hell from Rob Zombie this summer. Install a damn hallway light. I know, right? Anyways. You have to be a badass. Like, everybody says you have to be a badass to live in Michigan, but I mean, Michigan is still south of Canada, and Canada is south of Alaska. I know that there's some area that stretches beyond Alaska, but you seriously do have to be a badass to live in Alaska. I mean, a lot wildlife aside, you have crazy weather there. Like, geez. Mona Bennett? I don't know who that is off the top of my head. I'll be back. Number 26. When I was a kid about 8 or 9, when I was a kid about 8 or 9 years old, geez, see, my mouth just tried to graze right over that. Anyway, I had a TV stand in front of my window. The lights from the street always were on, so in the dark, I could easily make out the outline of where my TV was. I started seeing a shadow figure of a girl standing right next to my TV. I could make out her figure so clear. Hair and everything. I spent nights just looking at her. I couldn't even sleep. One night I got sick of it and threw a pillow at her. As soon as I did, I put my head under the other pillow. I have it a couple minutes and look up, and she was right next to me at the edge of my bed. I screamed so loud my parents came in and turned on the lights. A few days later, my older sister told me that she had been seeing a little girl in her bedroom. I never told my little sister about my experience prior to that. Weird. Okay, that could have been a lot scarier, but moving right next to you, isn't that what you're like? Remember being a little kid and being scared of anything your head could have made up even. And then you put your head on the cover and you're like so afraid whatever it is going to come get you. And then imagine taking yourself out of there and it's literally right next to you instead of being gone. It would be so scary. Spartacus. Cricus. Kalamazoo. Yeah. Days of Darkness sounds right up my alley. I know, right? You have to stay inside, but the thing is, if you need medical attention or you need supplies of any kind, you're kind of fucked if you're not prepared. So, yeah. But people that live there know that. They know how to. Most of them, if I'm not mistaken, most people do leave the area for the month, but horror fan dad will correct me. Yeah. Did you get your wisdom teeth out today, cats? That happened today? I mean, even if it was yesterday or a few days ago, probably still tired. Why don't people just be nice to some of these ghosts? They just want a friend. Jeez. I know, right? You don't know what they're going through. It could be just awful it could be hell on the other side. But bump. I'm telling dad jokes. Oh my god. Telling dad jokes in the live stream. How dare I? How dare I? Just checking my phone to make sure there wasn't anything pressing for me to attend to, and we're good. Okay. Number 27. I was around 16 when this happened. My phone battery just scared the crap out of me. Whew. Anyways. Number 27. I was around 16 when this happened, and I happened to lay in bed reading something. The room at first would feel normal. Then it started to feel really icy. Not that the room got cold, just the feeling it gave me, if that makes sense. Really uncomfortable. Next, it would feel as if something or somebody was just staring at you. There was nobody there, nor did I see a thing, but just the feeling that something looked at you with hate filled eyes was enough for me. Often I got the feeling to leave the room, so I did, and then just played a video game of some sort. The thing had left the room about an hour or so, and this happened about 3 times. In the same home, 3 other things happened that were weird. The first was a shadow person sneaking along the walls of my bedroom during the day. The second, we had a dog, a small one named DJ. Think something along the lines of a fox terrier, and you've got it. So one day I came to collect something from my room. It was during the day, and DJ followed me in. I heard a deep growling from under the bed. I just burped into the microphone. Sorry about that. If anybody heard that, excuse me. I heard a deep, I totally just made that not scary anymore. So DJ followed me in, and I heard a deep growling from under the bed. At first, I thought it must have been the dog, but I already knew that DJ wasn't capable of making this deep of a noise. It sounded like a big dog or a man doing his best with a kind of scary growling impression. This happened only once, but the experience stuck with me. Yeah, I think it would. Another weird thing with the dog was the time he was afraid to come to the living room. Next to my bedroom, there was a small room that we used as a computer room. DJ was in there at the time, and I heard him whimpering and pacing, even growling lowly at a thing that was in the hallway. I called him, but he didn't budge. I had to come and pick him up and then remove him from the room. This all happened in the same place. I lived there a few years with my mom after her divorce. Things happened and I left her home to live with my dad. She moved a few months later, but I think she was the one that carried this thing with her. And my dad's have felt a few small things happen, but nothing like the experiences with my mother. Okay, that's really weird. That you would feel it at both places. Wish all ghosts were like Casper, the friendly ghost. Like, and yet helpful. Oh, bye, Paul. Bye, Arthur. I see. Love dad jokes. Bye, guys. Okay. Ghosts are haters. Why can't a ghost give us some lottery numbers or like clear our credit score, like make it up higher? Anyway, number 28. Moved from the US to the UK, and our parents bought an old beat up house. It still had lead pipes for the water. Nightmare, all on its own. Anyway, work proceeded on the house while we lived there. We started seeing bright lights in the corners of rooms at night. Footsteps on floorboards. The house had carpet. It was about 6 at the time and started getting woken up in the night by a little, I was about 6 at the time, and started getting woken up in the night by a little girl who would dance on my chest of drawers for me. I was freaking terrified. My mom just fobbed it off as me dreaming. Workmen complained of strange things happening, like tools being moved, and an odd feeling like being watched. After about a year of this, my eldest friend's sister stayed overnight. She woke the whole house up screaming, saying a little girl had been in her room. She had apparently pulled her from the bed. The friend left the house and refused to ever come back. Mom decided she might need to do something about it and got some advice. Oh boy. He suggested to my mom and the whole family should treat the presents as part of our family. So when we got home, we shout, "Hi, we're home. Did you have a good day?" Over time, the house settled and we didn't get any more trouble. We also found out a little girl did die in the house of asthma. My parents still live there, and it's a beautiful, lovely place now. Okay. All right. Could have been scarier or scary at all. Yeah. Okay. A little backstory. Growing up, my brother and I lived with our single mother. The house was a little 500 square foot home. Wow. But we were so young, it wasn't a huge deal. My mom remarried, and the newlyweds decided to tear down the old house and build a ranch on the land. Strange but explainable things started happening after we moved back in. One of the strangest things to happen was when my brother and I were in the house alone. We were hanging out on an island in the kitchen, talking about what teenage boys talk about, when I hear the faintest whisper of someone saying my brother's name, probably just hearing things. About 30 seconds later, a little louder, my brother's name again. He was talking when I heard the second whisper, and he seemed to hear it too because he stopped what he was saying briefly. Finally, after 15 seconds of the second interruption, clearly and angrily, a raspy voice says his name. We look at each other and he asks, "Did someone say my name?" I told him I'd heard it more than once. And he said 3 times, right? We grabbed our coats and went to Burger King. And that's how that story ends? Oh, come on. Man. Like, I know that none of these people are authors by any mean, but hey. Hi, honey. Wow, how do you have a solar water heater? I would love to hear more about that, but not right now, but the ones I've encountered were not very friendly. I've heard a lot of times that it's not friendly interaction because they're so frustrated. Like, oh my gosh, went out and it was 60 below. Yeah, I bet. Wow, that's scary. Okay, so number 30. I used to live in a big house, 6 bedrooms, 4 bath, basement, etc. I think the person with the maids would differ that it was a big house, but we'll suffice. Anyways, by myself. What? Why would anyone do that to themselves? I was there as a hiring perk. Okay. And to look after the place for my boss who lived out of state but who owned the home. One of those win-win situations. Okay, I get it. The first couple of months were fine. But when winter came, I started hearing things coming from the second floor. Okay, did anybody else get the Shining vibes with that one? Anyways, I lived pretty much exclusively on the first floor. It started with little bumps and bangs coming from above where I had my computer set up and progressed to distinct footsteps coming and going across the second floor. I had been up to the second floor to check on it from time to time and knew that it was unfinished, that it had unfinished areas up there. One place always stuck out, an unfinished room that was sort of a walk-in closet for one of the upstairs bedrooms. It was attached to the garage attic, completely unlit. It was open when I went up to investigate the noises. I shut the door and locked it. 2 nights later, more noises. Footsteps leading from the unfinished room to the bathroom, then nothing. The worst part, the door. The door that led to the unfinished room would not stay closed or locked. I tried everything. Eventually, I pushed the bed up against the door to keep it from opening. That seemed to work. A few months went by without the door coming open, but I would find it unlocked all the time. As time pressed on, oh, I lost my place. I looked aside for a second. As time passed, I would hear noises, all over the house. Mostly footsteps, but the occasional thump with no explanation. I cannot explain how horrifying it is to hear little taps up and down the hall from the other side of a bathroom door during your morning shower. Out, but another employee moved in to take my place. His stay there only lasted about a month. The story he told me is that he was shaving one morning before work, and he heard a slam like someone dropped a heavy stack of books right outside his bedroom door. Then heavy footsteps like someone was running down the hall. He won't stay there anymore, and no one in the company will live in the house. Okay, so why does the guy own the house? I'm always confused by that. Like, why people have so much real estate that they never live in. It's different if you like rent it out or renovate it and sell it, but why? Ooh, just had it. Okay. Where are you getting these stories from, Duchess? I searched the internet for these, so I think this was a group of stories that someone else put together that are I think they're from Reddit, but I don't know. They're just random stories. Ooh, yeah, yikes. We have a generator. I think that we can hook up, like, if we hook up the generator to our house, then we hook up a space heater while the generator's running in the garage, then we'll be okay. But I mean, yikes. Yikes, yikes. I know some people's power went out yesterday before it got colder, so I'm hoping that they got their power back. Um, Number 31. My 3-year-old daughter talks about a guy called Mr. Longneck and says creepy stuff about it. I'll begin by saying I am personally more on the side of a skeptic frame of mind with any paranormal experience. But enough things have happened in the last year to make me at least question that and entertain the possibility that this is legit and not just my daughter's active imagination. These events have occurred only in the house my husband and I bought in June of 2017, which was built in the 1920s. Not a good time of era, I'll tell you that. First, in October of 2017, I was laying her down for bed in the dark with only moonlight lighting the bedroom. She pointed across the room and asked, "Mom, who's that guy?" I looked for a toy or something she could be referring to, but saw nothing, so I asked, "What guy, honey?" She responded that he was right there and gestured toward the closed bedroom door. Still curious, I asked her what he was doing, in case I could piece together some recent episode of a pretend play or a toy she commonly talked about. And she said he was hiding. I asked if he was scared. She said, "No, he's hiding." Creepy. During this whole exchange, what made it strange was that she was 2 at the time and didn't really engage in pretend play or storytelling at that time. And as I mentioned, no toys were in sight. From there, we had just had a funny toddler story to tell our friends and family that we affectionately named that guy. This is the umbrella named we generally use for any other episodes or weird stuff that happens around the house. That guy is pulling a prank. Next, in January or February of 2018, I was again laying her down for a bed along with her then 6-month-old brother. We were doing the usual cuddle up, night-night talk when she said something along the lines of, "Now it's time for bed. Just me and you and him and her." My skeptic mind would argue that him could easily have been her little brother. But at the time, she was still adjusting to having a sibling and rarely mentioned him. And he wasn't included in any of her talk that we were just having. What was really strange was that who's her? The only other female in the house is our cat, and she wasn't in the room at the time. No toys were in bed with us. None were in the near vicinity of the bed that she could have been talking about. A little later that spring, a new name came into the conversation. Mr. Longneck. That gave me the chills when I said that, by the way. Anyway, short backstory. My daughter has this weird thing where she likes touching long necks. Sometimes it's cuddly, sometimes it's when she's playing. We can't really explain it other than kids do weird stuff sometimes. And it started before we moved into the house. Anyway, she was getting up, getting put down for a nap, and was a little high strung. She was doing her usual neck grabbing thing, and suddenly did a little tougher than usual. Not enough to hurt, but said in a growly voice, "Mr. Longneck, Mr. Longneck." I had never heard her use this name, and it isn't a character in any YouTube or Netflix show she watches, so I asked who Mr. Longneck was. She just kind of giggled and went to sleep 10 minutes later. This was when I started getting creeped out a bit by her stories. April 2018. My husband found a time capsule in one of our heating vents, and we spent the afternoon looking through it. There had been a fire in our home in 2009, which we knew about and which no one was hurt. During the renovation after the fire, the owners at the time found a bunch of old stuff in the walls and included it with some of the pictures of the fire and a couple newspaper clippings. Among the old stuff was store catalogs from the 1940s and a small notebook with some handwritten names inside. I presume these are the names of the original inhabitants, and I plan to find the book again and look up the history behind the names inside as well as the home. After all this, my husband and I are suspicious that if there is something paranormal going on, maybe these objects are keeping some energy here or something. I don't know if you can hear the siren flying down the road, flying down the ice and snow covered road at 90 miles an hour. Our road is a 25-mile-per-hour zone, but we are in like a main stretch of where the fire guys come and go. So, yeah. Anyway, back to the story. I know this is long, but we're almost done here. In about October of 2018, I was driving to my mother's house with only my son and daughter in the car. Along the way, my daughter, now 3, asked from the back seat, "Mom, is that Grandpa?" I said, "Where?" She pointed to the empty front seat and said, "Right there." I told her Grandpa was at home, and as he had just recently moved in with us due to health issues. There was no one around on the street or sidewalks for her to point to either. Now, there had been other minor events that have happened, but these were the biggest ones to describe in detail. I posted this in another subreddit as well, and received advice to engage her further in conversation when it comes up. While we have, to an extent, to encourage her to be comfortable talking about it, I never pushed it in order to avoid leading the conversation or pulling answers out of her that she would offer just to appease the conversation. So one day, though, and a few times after, I just decided to ask her about it. Below, roughly the past month. Me. Can you tell me about that guy? Daughter. What guy? Me. You don't remember that guy? Daughter. No. Me. What about Mr. Longneck? Daughter. Oh, yeah. Face lights up. Me. Can you tell me about him? And various other questions led to Mr. Longneck is a grown-up. He wears a monster clothes and hat. He's nice, but also scary. He says trick or treat, but doesn't wear a costume. He lives far away and goes with Santa into the sky to his house where he belongs. She says he comes to our house at nap time, which she no longer has, but generally the afternoon. He knocks on our big door, patio door, and walks through the kitchen. These were her exact words, and while she was telling me this, was pointing a path from the door to one of our living room windows. I asked what he says or does, and among a few things, she mentioned he played in the kitchen with her, with the spinny cow toy. This is one of her Fisher-Price pull-string farm toys. She never plays with it. I rarely even see it. And I've never seen it in the kitchen. The specific details of this piqued my interest for sure. I also asked if he ever brought a friend to see if I could follow up on her mentioned earlier. He brings a friend. She's a little girl, not grown up, and has yellow hair like me. She's never scared of these talks, although she withdraws from the conversation when I ask about his neck and why it's long. But that's pretty much it. We've saged the house, but quite a while ago had planned to do it again. We'll probably also get rid of the old items from the walls we found out more about them, which is sad because of the home's history. Oh my gosh, that's it? I thought there was going to be some sort of great history. That was so long. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? Is it still happening? Okay, this is on. I've only actually seen one ghost, so the other times I've just heard them, which is scary enough. My BF is here right now. I've seen her shadow on camera before. Hello, Mercury. It would be terrifying to see them all the time. I miss her. She was an awesome boss. Aw. I saw a few ghosts as a kid, but not more than 3. It is happening. What is happening? Now she's an awesome ghost. Oh, Horror Fan Dad mentioned earlier that his boss haunts him, and she had passed away from a heart attack, and she was 4 months older or younger than him. So that's what he's talking about. I mean, that would be comforting. Every once in a while, I still smell roses from my grandma, but it's less often than it used to be. And back to the story. So that one was really long. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? It's scary, but I thought that was going to lead to like a revelation of something scarier. But it reminded me of Slender Man. I don't know if anybody else was thinking about that too. So this one says this is currently happening in the house I'm living in right now in New Jersey. A week or so ago at 3 a.m., I was just getting up to turn the heating off and potter around after falling asleep on the sofa. I was yawning and rubbing my eyes a lot and just about to go to bed when I realized this noise getting louder and louder. Like you don't realize it's happening until it's super loud. I suddenly realized and turned my head around to see the kettle boiling by itself. You have to push a button down and it glows blue, which was highlighting the shadow of the button that definitely had been pressed. I freak out thinking I've lost time, and it was me, but I've forgotten and rationalized before I can stop myself. But I don't want tea or coffee. Came out of my mouth, and at which point the pedal clicks off. Like I literally heard the switch. It wasn't the end of a boil either. I'm English, so used to 220-watt outlets which do everything twice as fast. So I know it was in the middle of a boil. Also, as soon as I said that, I felt guilty like I shouldn't have been scared. Like it was a friendly offer. 2 days later, I was with a friend at the dining room table, both of us at least 5 feet, round the corner from the kettle. Nobody else in the house. When it starts boiling again, my friend rushes over and points out the button had been pushed. So much relief came over me that I wasn't insane, and I explained to my friend that this happened to me at night. A few nights ago, I was lying in bed. I could hear a conversation at 4 a.m. No one was around. Neighbors are 20 feet away on either side. The kettle starts boiling again. I'm pissed. So I literally say out loud, please stop boiling the kettle. We have people asleep upstairs. And it clicked off again. This could literally just be a faulty kettle and coincidence. I don't believe in ghosts whatsoever, and I've never seen or felt anything before. It's just freaky, not scary. Only my first instinct. I feel as though someone is trying to take care of me, like when you're sick off school and lying in bed and your mom and dad would take care of you and bring you stuff. Just really, really strange. Ugh. That was a lot of investment for something that wasn't even scary. Boo. You know what's funny is I've never watched a Slender Man story, so I might have to do it today. Yeah. Yeah, I smell roses because my grandma's husband had like a long that it wasn't a big house by any means. It was like a really small house that he built himself. But he was a really great gardener, and he had like against the house, like think if you walk out like the dining area. I mean, it wasn't a separated room, but there was definitely a dining area. It was a large dining area. You walk out like their short patio into this like almost like a baseball diamond shape, but it wasn't that large of cinder blocks that he built. And on the outside of that, he framed it with roses that he like meticulously manicured and then along the house. And so when you stepped out of their house, you could be wafted with roses. And after she passed away, I would smell it often. I only smell it once in a while now. So yeah, they had a huge vegetable garden too. Yeah, I bet you've seen ghosts in Alaska. Shit, that's where ghosts go. That in Arizona, right? Number 33. Also, What, anybody in the listening there? If you watch Letterkenny, please raise your hand and I'll come back and see. So as a kid, I saw lots of shadows. This is number 33. Heard a lot of weird noises, the usual. My sister, who lived on the third floor, came down to my room a lot at night to stare at me, sleepwalking, and sometimes slept in my room and forgot about it the next night. The doors creaked and opened and closed on themselves a lot, which can happen in an old house due to drafts. This is all stuff that any kid can imagine due to the suggestive state of an old house can give a person. Nothing really scary. Also, the alarm went off a lot during the night, possibly triggered by the air. One time, my parents were in China for business. Me and my brother and sisters slept at other places because my parents were away for quite a long time. I had to go to hockey practice, but I forgot some gear, so me and my friend went to go get it. The house was engulfed in darkness and very silent. And as we walked out of my room, we hear footsteps in the attic. Two of my siblings had their bedrooms there, so I thought one of them was home. I shouted at them, which made the footsteps stop. After 5 seconds or so, we heard the footsteps coming closer to the stairs and actually setting foot on the very old wooden creaky steps, one at a time. I actually felt a weight setting foot in front of me. Very strange, but I saw nothing. Nevertheless, we were 12, so we got the fuck out of there. Outside, my friend had a total nervous breakdown because he saw some scary form that looked like an alien to him. He never set foot on my house again. I credit it all to the creepiness of the house, but that one night with my friend still gives me the chills. Yikes. I guess so. Ghosts go on vacation too. They do? Can you see it? The haunting business is so tiring. I need a vacation. I mean, couldn't you just go there? You just be like, boom, Hawaii, boom, Alaska, boom, Australia, boom, Michigan. Oh no, I mean Michigan. I don't know. This thing keeps going like back in time. Why does it do that? We're almost running on 2 hours here, dude. Dead. I don't know why I say that like that. I'm gonna be like 100 and dude. Do people grow out of that? I don't know. Anyway, I think we're gonna read this one and hopefully it's scary and then wrap it up. Here we go. So, number 33, as a kid, I saw a lot of shadows, heard a lot of weird noises, the usual. My sister, who lived on the third floor, came down to my room a lot to stare at. Oh my God, I'm reading the same one. Sorry. Okay. We're on 34. Number 34. So, 2 weeks after we moved, my dad and I toured our house, and I noticed this guy was painting the water heater, which I thought was weird as fuck. But I was like 10. In on a Wednesday, and my parents let me stay home from school until the following Monday and preoccupied me with coloring books and a new dollhouse. In my brand new crayons pack, there literally wasn't a blue crayon. It was like a 64 pack, but there were only 63 crayons in it. One day I went downstairs into the basement, and my blue crayon was next to the water heater, and scribbled on it there it said, "Hi, Fitner 6 Kevin." I was confused. I started school and my new classmates were like, "Oh my God, you live in Kevin's house? You're gonna be haunted." It turned out that Kevin was a little 8-year-old boy that lived in our house prior to us and had gotten hit by a car in the front yard. Oh no. He would write notes if you left out a pen and paper, open and close doors, adjust the thermostat, the kind where you had to turn a knob, and always turn on Christmas music when it was that time of year. We had a swing set in the backyard, and even on the hottest, calmest days of summer, only the left swing would move back and forth. We had this stupid cat that I would lock in my bedroom at night, and every morning my parents would open the door and let him out, and then close it back. One night I woke up and the cat was meowing at the door, and it woke me up, but the door opened and the cat hissed and ran out really fast. I asked my mom the next morning why they didn't close my door when they said they didn't open it. This last part is when I woke up very upset, nearly suicidal one year during Christmas break. The police just randomly showed up at my house. The policeman said he was patrolling our neighborhood and felt like something was wrong at our house. And I'm absolutely certain Kevin had something to do with it. Oh, so it was kind of like a sweet thing, but I mean, a horribly tragic event that led to that. But, aw, poor guy. 2 hours of fun time with my live stream friends. Yeah, I think if I go on beyond that, it becomes less fun because I start squirreling out and get distracted. But I enjoy it too. I mean, the level of joy I get is equal to what you're getting. I hope. I like interacting with people. So North Muskegon, Michigan is so beautiful. No swimming in Lake Michigan, I know from experience. Oh yeah. I think our lakes have like stuff that they haven't discovered yet. Because because it's not technically an ocean, but it's the size and depth of oceans. So there's probably plenty of things living there that have gone on undetected for a long time. But I mean, who knows? But anyway, if you're new here, and I think a couple people are, and you're not aware how we do this, we say goodbye in a very sarcastic but very genuine way, where we know that the Kardashians and other super famous people that I'm certainly not say goodbye. So maybe someone will watch it like that. Thanks for coming and listening to stories. And hopefully I'll have a video out soon, but I can't promise when. Um, that requires clear head and time carved out for that specific thing. So, anyways, I want to thank you all for coming. And until next time, bye, bye, bye.